Hello, Bl'Art here with Dimensions and Transcendence Tier 11, Reckoning. We got a team of Vayne, Agrius, and Young. Before we get too deep into it, hit that like button, help me out, hit that subscribe button, help you out. Get the regular updates on when the channel posts content, and you'll get access to little community posts that I do evaluating characters and stuff like that, because, who has time to watch a, 40-minute video and got, reading off compendium or something. Anyway, this is a fight with a few different things going on. These lunatic Armaloe, is that how you say it? Armaloe? I don't know. They've already gone ahead and just hit us with the debuffs. They do that. You'll see that the force gauge has a bunch of different tick marks, and they have a bunch of different health thresholds. So we're going to be doing quite a few things that we have to keep in mind here. You're probably thinking to yourself, why are you bringing Agrius? Wouldn't Core be a better choice or something like that? Kane, some off-turn damage? And the main reason is because all of those other dudes are locked in other places, and I didn't want to have to bother with that. Agrius has a few things going for her here. The paralysis would have been handy if I ended up letting them get turns. I decided, thanks to Seymour Call, I didn't have to. In the previous run, I ended up not using Seymour Call, and they got a turn, so hey, that was nice. And generally just brings good auras, has melee, weapon type to synergize with Vayne's FR, and the main thing is just she's a solid plug-and-play unit as long as you're not running a counter team, which we are not. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about in this fight is they have a mechanic of sorts. If you take 4 instant turns in a row with the character, you lose the ability to buff yourself until they take a turn. With Vayne, obviously, that's a concern, so we're going to be trying to very carefully time his free turns such that he's not taking more than 3 of them in a row. Additionally, get that force time there, and throughout the course of the force time, and also leading up to it, they're going to be doing a pretty annoying attack, I think it's called Needle Storm or something, where it basically just sets your HP to 20% of your current, which is pretty brutal. They also can inflict debuffs, which is you saw the frame ones they already inflicted, but they also inflict paralyze and stop and just a lot of problematic stuff. So we tossed the Raijin Call on there, so we don't have to worry about it. I think that's a strategy a lot of people are going to be probably doing. I imagine Raijin Call still pretty great. They have a bunch of health thresholds. They basically just trigger the Needle Storm attack. We're not going to be caring too much about that at this time. We'll get there, though. It is going to be something we're going to need to keep in mind. Because I'd say the trickiest part of this fight, for me, with this team, was actually how squishy they are. These guys are very squishy. Relative, I should say, to, I guess, the Spiritus fight or something. They're not that much squishier than most bosses we've fought, but I think they have like about 80 million hit points apiece. Yeah, there it is. Look at that needle. Jesus. That's scary stuff, which is a good thing about Raijin Call is if their force time was to go off, it'll keep us safe. But the main issue we're going to have here is, oh yeah, that would have been some scary debuffs if Raijin wasn't there. I think that would have been the stop or the paralyze, I don't know. Hello Raijin, we're quickly using him to set up our force time. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, at 40%, or is it 50? I think it might be 50%. They start absorbing melee and magic attacks, so you need to use an elemental imperil unless you're using a ranged team, I guess. I don't know why it's melee, but anyway. Magic is weird too because, it's a featured magic, whatever. If they want to make them absorb magic, that's their business. But we're actually timing things with this FR. We're going to be jumping into the burst real quick because you saw we used Raijin, so we're trying to not take too many free turns, as I mentioned. And we're also not trying to push them too low in the burst phase, because as you can see, our health is really low, and we want to get Alexander summon off right before we kill them to refresh our health so we don't miss the HP requirement. And as it happens, those Needle Storms, they stack, and so basically, after we get out of this burst, they're going to do a whole bunch of them in a row, and Young is not going to like that. He's going to take serious issue with that. He's going to kick the hell out of them. When he does that, it's a very easy thing for him to just kick them to death. So that's why we're going to be very carefully choosing who we attack here. We're actually going to be focusing on A in hopes that the basic idea there is we're hoping that we can minimize the number of counters that they cause from Young by having one of them dead. we also want the other one close enough to dead that we can kill them quickly before the force time runs out. So it's kind of it's a delicate tension we're dealing with here. Not a particularly difficult one, but it is a needle that we have to thread. But that all being said, I think that covers the entire fight. It was interesting because it feels like it has a lot of mechanics. It feels like a Transcendence fight, except that FRs just kind of trivialize it. Like, compare this to Tier 10. Tier 10 was that was quite a doozy. This fight kind of rolled over once you set up the proper, force and burst situation. I know a lot of people are using counter off-turn teams, Yuri, 8, that sort of thing. Reno, I'm sure, is going to do good here. But I think it just doesn't have enough health, so you can just kind of blow past the mechanics, of which there are several. So yeah, Needle Shower. Now you're going to see here, Young is going to be kicking the hell out of them, and we're watching their health very carefully, because what we want is for A to go down, and B to just barely live. Let's see if we can pull this off. I know theoretically having 3 turns left of force time isn't optimal, but again, we need that heal, so we didn't want to go as hard as possible with our force time. And to that end, A is dead, and B, we're actually getting lucky here. He does not proc his 70% counter chance, which would have really messed us up right there, I think. But anywho, with that, we have done it. Tier 11 out of the way. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you watching through to the end. As mentioned, if you want to help me out, likes and subs are always appreciated. But anyway, I'll see you in the next video. I hope you've had an easy time here. Let me know how you've fared, and I'll see you next time. Adios.